We're in trouble, y'all. And this video ain't about the mass shooting in Texas on Saturday. No matter what the motives were, whether they were extreme left-wing motives, extreme right-wing motives, the fact is this guy and all the other losers before him don't understand how the world works. So just once, I want to hear a United States president or a governor even come on the news after a shooting or a tragedy like this and say what nobody's willing to say. So I'll just say it right here. Our youth today has no clue whatsoever how to handle disappointment.
Kids these days do not know how to handle disappointment, and that's why we have mass shootings. And that is a man identified as Buddy Brown by the Twitter handle Chuds of TikTok. Mr. Brown, if that is his real name, admits he has no idea what prompted the recent shooting in Allen, Texas that killed 8 people, including several children. But this MAGA man is sure that people are lashing out and carrying out carnage because they've never been taught how to handle life's disappointments. Well, for argument's sake, let's just accept his premise that younger people these days are more fragile and fly off the handle more easily than previous generations. The way you deal with that is to be more aggressive in keeping dangerous weapons out of their hands. Ban assault weapons. Make it impossible for an angry young person to carry out their rage with a weapon of war. In Allen, Texas, even though there was a cop on the scene within seconds, the shooter still managed to kill 8 people almost immediately. If the shooter had been limited to a handgun, he might have killed 1 or 2 people, but not 8. Still, Buddy Brown doesn't want to talk about firepower. He wants to talk about emotional self-regulation and the good old days.
You're supposed to feel disappointment around like a 4 or 5 scale when something doesn't go your way. But you know, we don't have Andy Griffith anymore to walk us down to the creek in Mayberry with a cane pole and talk it over for a little bit. These kids' processors are totally broken. When I was a kid, my friends and I all had a gauge, and we could experience disappointment on like a 1 or a 4, 5, 6, or all the way up to 10. But the kids today go straight from 1 to 1,000.
No, the kids from today go straight to an AR-15. 30 years ago, angry kids pulled a school fire alarm or poisoned the teacher's fish or vandalized cars in the campus parking lot. Now, young people have the ability to kill dozens of people in just a minute or two. That's the issue. All studies and data show that kids are not that much more emotionally disturbed or fragile than they were 30 years ago. But now younger people can buy an assault weapon, learn how to use it thanks to a few clicks on the internet, purchase ammunition with no questions asked, and then kill. Now, I agree that maybe our conversations and discourse in society are harsher and angrier, and perhaps there is less politeness these days. So I get it when Mr. Brown talks to store clerks and people in the service industry and hears things like this.
And the clerk up at the counter is bawling her eyes out. Older lady. I walk up and it's just me and her in the gas station. I said, "Ma'am, is there anything wrong? Is there anything I can do?" And she just looks up and she's wiping tears from her eyes and she goes, "I have been clerking this counter for 32 years. I have never seen Americans as angry as they are right now." Some guy just yelled at her, cussed her out over God knows what. You want to talk about somebody who's in the trenches, somebody who's on the front lines and really knows where we are with Americans? I've never seen Americans as angry as they are right now.
Oh, Americans are angry, and we are justified. The middle class is shrinking. The gap between rich and poor is growing. Opportunities are eroding. Mass shootings are increasing. And our political system can't address any of it because we've legalized corporate political bribery and corruption. There are more guns in America now than people. There are 20 million assault weapons in the United States, and that's because the gun lobby wants the flood of weapons with no restrictions. And until we talk about actually doing something about guns, instead of being an armchair psychologist pontificating about the disappointment of our youth, nothing is going to change. Hey, buddy, do us all a favor. Talk about the guns. By the way, one of the most outspoken defenders of guns in Congress is Lauren Boebert, the Colorado Republican, and she recently got demolished by a progressive Democrat on the House floor. Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.